Enough to do it right now, yeah.
Yes. Anyway, I think let's get cracking. Obviously, we're a little bit behind schedule now, so this is your meeting to kind of give us some background, what the requirements are, and like I said to you in our last chat, we'll then obviously start thinking about how we can do this, and then when we figure out the process, we'll set up another meeting to kind of brainstorm the process.
Okay, I think our expectations are maybe slightly diverging on that.
Okay.
It's about 3 different types of opportunities where I'm trying to unify the process.
Okay.
And I already have the process. It's the detailing of the process we need to dive into.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So let's start within Exponentially Me, because then and then we can add stuff to that to take into the other opportunities.
Okay, cool.
Within Exponentially Me, we need.
Sorry for interrupting. I'm going to record it if you don't mind.
It's already a recording.
Is it? Oh, there we go. Sorry, it was hidden.
Okay.
Cool. Sorry about that.
I'll even do this. Now you can hear the original sound. Now you'll hear me like my sound disk is meaning you to hear me.
Perfect.
All right. So within Exponentially Me, we're looking at different types of videos that we may need or will need. The first type of video is one that is mainly used for marketing.
Okay.
That means there's a little bit of information, then there's a logo, then there's a lot more information, and then there's a logo with contact details.
Yeah.
Okay. So we normally started off with a question or with a statement, like, all bosses are assholes. Don't you agree? Then logo. And then we explain why we say the statement. And then we have the contact details and the logo outro at the end.
Yeah.
Right. So at the logo, at the beginning, it's basically silent and there's only a voice. And with the first logo, you'll hear this sound. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then let me just double check. And then with the outro, so the end logo, you'll hear this sound. Yeah, the one is slightly longer and it ends with a down turn.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other one is slightly shorter and it ends on an up. So we basically anticipation, message, wind down.
Okay. Sounds good.
So thank you. So now we've got a composer to do this for us. His name's Wout. He lives in Germany, Dutch guy. Very artsy fartsy, sort of like wild hair, like a hippie and a bit of a beard going on, and
Yeah.
he composed this one for us. So what for PSA, I'm doing the same.
Okay.
3 little videos, YouTube videos saying, this is what I like for the feeling. Use that as inspiration, come up with something.
Yeah.
Okay. So PSA is the first non-exponentially me one that he's going to do.
Okay.
So that means we now have someone and a way and a process of creating logo audio. So basically it becomes your sound logo. Right. So the next thing is logos themselves. What do I need to do to make a logo animated? I've chosen for simple stuff. With Arjuna having left, we need to find a way to make this simple and easy.
Yes.
So I can either have a logo animated by a person that specializes in that or can do that, and then just basically animate it over the amount of seconds that the sound is long, and then just basically combine the two and give me the logo back with sound, and that's it.
Yeah.
Now, in software in which you can create stuff, there are various versions.
Yeah.
You have things like Adobe Premiere with After Effects for special effects.
Okay.
Then you have Final Cut Pro, which is on Mac with some other Mac tools for animation.
Yeah.
There's a man walking in here.
Man.
He's bringing me a coffee. Alrighty.
Well, I'm assuming it's Alan, so.
Yeah, it's like coolest husband ever. It's fine. Then, so where were we? Okay, so that means we can do that, but there's also another piece of software from Blackmagic called Resolve.
Yeah.
And Resolve is free.
Okay.
The other ones you all have to pay for.
Yeah.
If you then pay $267 or whatever dollars, you also get Fusion, which is their animation part with that.
Okay.
Or fully functional. You get basic functionality without. So what we can do is we can go to a person that does video editing in Resolve,
Yeah.
and or know how to do it, and then we say, okay, here's the logo which we got from whomever, wherever. You know, I've got Danny that I can do logos with, or I can ask Jan to do logos, you know, from PSA. So there's people that can do logos for us. But animating it, I need somebody. And Melissa in Florida is who I'm talking to, but she had to relocate rather in a hurry. So I have a meeting with her again this afternoon to do follow-up.
Okay.
So the idea was that Melissa can then take the logo and we give her 2 or 3 animation templates and say, this is the type of animation the client wants.
Yes.
Take the logo and use this template on it to animate it. Or take this logo and do an animation similar to that, to the template or to an example. Then she will do the animation, but we'll create the animation and all its steps and everything else in Fusion, in Resolve, so that anybody can edit it again. So that means myself or Talita can then take that and just say, okay, we've got this animation, it's already there, but now the customer says for this campaign, the color is blue, and for this campaign, the color is red. And we just change the light from blue to red, and the logo stays the same. Yeah. Or we change the light from blue to red, and as long as the logo has precisely the same dimensions and shapes and size, okay, but it has a different color, we can just slot it into that point in there and just click render, and it does all the rest of it and creates the logo, the timeline with the song and everything else for us.
Okay, so it is quite, I don't want to say easy, but it's something that one could learn, and it's you don't have to have necessarily a technical background to be able to do it.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show. This is Filmora because I just can't start up Resolve at the moment, because for Resolve you need a good graphics card. Oh, okay. And at the moment my external graphics card is not running. You saw it last time. It's on the desk, disassembled, and I got the new fans in and the soldering iron and everything else. I'm busy reassembling it. Okay, now let me share the screen with you. Hopefully you guys will be able to see this, because my screen is quite wide. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So simply put, top left, there's a bunch of slides.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, slide 4, whatever. And I take all those slides I've taken from from previous presentations I've done, or from previous videos or whatever else. Okay. And then I've added like two recordings to that.
Okay.
All right. So then what I can do is I can just drag it all in here. So I dragged them from the top to the bottom. I went like, slide 1 is over here. Okay, so drag slide 1 there. And then I say, well, okay, what I'm going to do with slide 1, I want slide 1 to be a certain time. And then I just double click on it. Okay. Or I can go, I can right click it and so whatever. Anyway, I can go do the properties and change and all the rest of it. But anyway, I can literally drag a slide in here. And when I drag the slide in there, I can say, how long does the slide need to be up?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I get that.
Okay. And then the next slide and the next slide and the next slide and the next slide.
Mm.
In the audio, I can bring in the audio and then I go like at the end of the audio, there's too much of a and in between. So I'm just going to cut it there, take it to the next bit and cut it out and just take that little bit of and out.
Yeah. Okay, I know this is it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. And you can record there's something called Reporter that you can download for iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can record stuff with that.
Okay, cool.
Now, voiceovers, just listen to this for a second. I'm going to switch mics, okay? Hello there. Is this a bit warmer, richer, fun to listen to? And that's
good.
another one. All right?
Yeah.
So there's stuff you can play with, proximity effect and all that kind of stuff. Talitas, all kind of stuff that I want to show you how that works and why is the one richer than the other and why is it warmer than the other and how you can fake those kind of things with just playing with the distance from you to the mic and all that. Okay. But the basic idea is you take a slide, you animate it, or you take a bit of video and you drag it in there and then you just cut bits out, add bits in, and you can create your own thing. Now, what I want to do is I want to create it in such a way that it's easy enough for you and I to do, or for you to do, even for customers. So we create a template, and the template is basically the video in the beginning, right, with the person saying something. Then there's the video with the logo and the logo sound. Then there's the next bit down here, which will, let's say, will be the explanation, and then the logo at the end. So you basically have 4 little blocks. And at the top here, you will always have 2 blocks that's already in the template. So all you need to do is add the 2 bits of video that we get from the customer, whomever that might be. That can be me, it can be any of your customers, or it can be people from PSA. And you literally just drag in the first 10 seconds and the middle 40 seconds, and it's done. And you click render.
Okay.
Right? So it's something you can do in 5 minutes. Unless they get delivered really bad quality video that needs to be cleaned up first.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things is, if you're going to have repeat custom, so people that are going to do this multiple times, there's a little pocket thing that you buy that just you put next to your face, and all of a sudden you can see all the colors of the rainbow next to your face. I'm saying all colors of the rainbow, it's not quite like that. Sorry, Jacqueline?
No, yes, yeah, no, I remember that little thing that you showed me.
So if you have that, then making the colors right, or fixing the colors, is easy to do. All right, you need a powerful computer, but other than that, you can fix the colors, because you basically just say, this is red, this is yellow, this is brown, this is green, this is so on. And there's a little, actually just a little mask you put over it, and just position little blocks to be over the right blocks, and it's done. It takes 5 minutes to do that, and then it takes that whole video and fixes the color for it.
Funny.
Okay, so those are little tricks we can do to make sure that everything is repeatable. So that somebody gives us one bit of video and they give us another bit of video, and we can fix the color between those 2 types of video. If they then wanted color treated, making themselves look a little less pale, make themselves look a little bit more tanned, whatever, then we need to to somebody that can do coloring for us.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between taking a bottle with a rinse and doing that for your hair, or going to a stylist.
Okay.
Stylist is always more expensive than a bottle of shampoo.
Yes.
Okay. So how do we edit audio? Now, it's easy so when we do audio and video, when you record, all you need to do is go like this. And the sound and the video needs to line up. Okay.
Yes.
If it doesn't, there's either a delay in the sound or there's a delay in the video.
Okay.
And that means on the video or audio bar at the bottom, we just move the one a few frames this way or a few frames that way for the top one. So the video either moves a few frames or the audio moves a few frames. It's literally like drag and drop.
Yeah.
All right.
So, sorry, just to backtrack, obviously from the content, the Exponentially Me content, it's easy because we've got, you know what you're doing, and we've got a relationship with you, and you know the best practice for getting good video content.
Yeah.
Are you for I mean, we obviously for PSA, we did give them some guidelines. It's obviously not kicked off yet, but are you going to be able to help some of the people there to ensure that the quality of the content is good enough so that we can actually more easily do stuff with the video that they give us?
Okay, that's step 2. Just let me finish one more step here first. Okay, and then I'll talk about that. The other thing is the little clicker like this. Use it for dog training. I don't know if you guys have seen them before.
Yes, yeah.
Literally a thing you press and it goes like click. All right. When you do that, you're basically creating a spike in your audio. Right.
Okay.
And then you can see where the person pressed the click. So for instance, I can go like, and welcome to Exponentially, sorry, I'm going to do that again. Welcome to Exponentially Me. This is a video about how you can be the exponential you. Oh no, I want to say exponential me. Okay, click, you know. And so every time there's a click, you know there's been an adjustment. So you just need to listen before or after the click and go like, okay, this is where the adjustment is. Okay, they're fixing it here. Has this completely been fixed by the next click? Yes. They're not re-recording? Yes. Okay, cut the previous bit out.
Okay, cool.
All right. So it makes it, so I'm showing you certain steps in a process. Now, I will do this myself anyway. But when it comes to external parties, we need to create this process, write it down, try it out, and then go like, is this process foolproof?
Yes.
Before you practice on your customers, it's easier to practice on the PSA.
Yes.
Okay, so with Exponentially Me, we can work on how do we create this process? How do we make it repeatable? How do we make it easy for Intercom to do this with Melissa and with Vote and everybody else? So you guys can do it as well. But how do we do it for PSA? How do we do it for Exponentially Me? Because in Exponentially Me, I can do a video edit very easily, right? For PSA, I can help with that, and Talita can watch me and I can help her, and we sort of can work together and use this, work on skills on that. Then if we say, well, it's for one of your customers and you don't have time, you sort of go like, okay, I've got enough to do, Talita's got enough to do, we need to outsource this. We can always push it off to Melissa to do.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So Melissa's going to help us create the basic digital assets that we need to be able to create these easy videos. All right. So we've got these short videos, which is 1 minute. The next thing we do with that video, so now we've created the video, we've recorded the bit in the beginning, we've recorded the bit at the end, we've got the color correction done, we've got the audio corrections done because we pressed the little thingy and we can now cut out the video and the audio as necessary. We have the clap to see how we need to arrange them so they can actually align, all right? And once we've got that all done, so now we've got the video, all the elements are in there, and then we render it, but what about subtitles?
Yes.
Now, if we keep it under 1 minute, okay, anything that is a minute or less is $1 to have the subtitles done. Okay, yeah. On Rev or EV.
Yeah.
And if you pay for it, for that $1, the turnaround time is usually an hour.
Okay.
Okay, and then you get the text file that you can use for subtitles, and it's the format, the subtitle format that you need for. You can say, well, I want it for YouTube, I want it for Facebook, I want it for LinkedIn, whatever. It doesn't matter. You say which formats you want, all right? And when it's done, you can download any of those formats because it was done in the system by a person in India, for instance, listening to it and then writing it down. But that also means for every screen, it's already done. The timing is already done. It already ties in with your video. Right. So that's why it's also handy. Send the video off to the customer first for approval if you need that, and then do the subtitles. Otherwise, you change and you've got to do the subtitles again and again because the timing of the subtitles is also important, not just the text.
Yes. Yeah.
And for $1, you can't really get it much cheaper than that to get the timing and the subtitles done.
No, for sure.
It's $1 per minute. So if they want to do 60 minutes, it's $60, you know?
Okay, no, that's good to know.
Okay. So that is the short videos, which in general is used for marketing purposes. Then with PSA, we'll have things like show reels. Now that's a bit more complex. And that is why I'm sitting with Alan and Elena and myself, and with Alan Stevens, figuring out how do we go through this process of creating a show reel. What are the elements of a show reel? Are we going to use a specific structure? What kind of things would we like in a show reel? And see to what extent can we standardize that?
Yeah.
Because once we've got that standardized, we've got little blocks again. And then we say, well, okay, if you provide us the blocks, we can create a show reel for you. And if we can create a show reel for you, we can do that for every PSA member in the world. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, the same thing with the show reel is like an advertisement for a speaker. But what if you're a comedian? Then we can probably do it for you as well. Yeah. So all of a sudden, there's something you can apply online, get it done, and all that Talita, for instance, will have to do is coordinate this, and we get Melissa to do all the work. It all depends on how much people are willing to pay, and where does the money come from or go to.
Yeah.
All right. So then we have easy videos, but that are longer.
Yeah.
So that's when a speaker, for instance, has taken a whole speech. Right? Or a company wants to publish vlogs or stuff like that. It can be anything from 1 minute to 15 minutes. It's like a podcast on video, for instance.
Yeah.
What needs to happen there is all the ums and ahs needs to be taken out. So they might record 2 hours, and then you need to cut it down. So different ways of doing that. For Exponentially Me, it's easy for me to cut stuff down. All right, because I can video edit in the software.
Yeah, and you've got the insight also of when what to cut.
Yes, but it's also important that a third party looks at this. All right. So what I've talked to Alan about is I will record it, then I give it to him, and he will go through it and go like, cut out from this till this. All right. So then it's literally for me a case of I go through it, okay, cut, and then the whole thing is there. And then I just need to listen to it to make sure that the audio ties in very well. So they don't give like, and then I cut into something else. The sentence needs to be finished, or you need to finish it at a lower point, or, sometimes you can cut a sentence halfway if it is not, by playing a little bit with the audio. Okay. So instead of doing that, you want to get the audio to be as easy as possible to follow. So when I record stuff, I need to articulate, be clear. When I make a point, I need to pause, and so on. So every time I say something, pause, say something, pause, say something, pause. The reason for that being is that it's easier to edit afterwards.
Okay.
Right. So these are the kinds of things we need to write down as part of a process. So we say, well, in the process, this is where we start with you, customer. We're going to give you a briefing. In the briefing, we're going to explain to you what the requirements for each step is. In each step, we're going to add a price point to it. If you do this yourself, all right, this is the price point. If we do it for you, this is the price point.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can always choose which one you want. And then there's two options. You can either go for three options. You say, well, I will record the video and make sure that the color correction is done by myself. You don't have to do color correction for me. Or I will invest in that little color thing I want you to do the coloring for me. Okay? Or, okay, I am not going to bother with any of that. I'm just going to send you a raw video, fix it. All right? Yeah. The latter is like 5 times the price of the middle one. Okay? The first one, where they make sure that everything's done, we don't have to charge for that because obviously they've done it themselves.
Yeah.
So there's free, there's not too expensive, and then there's ridiculous because you didn't do any of the work.
Yes.
Okay. That way we can train people from the word go just to buy a little clicker like this. I mean, this is €1.50. I mean, what are we talking about? Okay, what's that? 20 Rand or something, or 30 Rand. You know, it's really ridiculous. Okay. The passport though is expensive. It's 130. All right, but you can always use it for all your videos forever. For speakers, for instance, every time that I go in the future now, every time I go on stage, two things I need to remember. Contrast, foreground, background, okay? Make sure that if I have a contrast there, that the videographer has a camera that can pick up on that high contrast. Otherwise, go for a slightly darker shirt instead of just a white shirt. Because otherwise you don't get everything in there, all right? Let me show you what I mean. This is slide 8. I'm just going to show you.
Create lasting and productive relationships in the workplace.
Oh, this is not showing now because of... No. Here we go. I'm just going to open this picture and then I'm going to stop sharing and share again. See here, can you see that picture?
Yes.
Here the problem is that the white starts losing detail rather quickly.
Yes.
What Lundy and Mike did, which is the sponsors for this event, what they did is they like their ethnic and their blacks and their dark colors and everything else, which is lovely when you put it in a very well lit house, but on a stage it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right? So this couch they have on the stage is a lovely couch, but it doesn't work on a stage with a black background.
Yeah. No, it's not at all.
Just wait for Talita. Okay, welcome back.
Thank you.
So here what you see is that if you want to have the black curtain at the back showing, which is what the videographer is trying to do because he wants everything there, okay? Then you see that the white starts getting washed out.
Yeah.
And then with that blue tinge, blue is horrible on human skin. You should never have either blue or green in any stage decor. Okay? You can have it as a logo, but never as lighting, because then you cannot cut out people. You cannot do color correction very easily because the human skin does not contain any blue and it doesn't contain any green.
Okay.
So that's why we use blue and green screens to cut people out of things. All right. So the moment you start playing with stuff, it goes all over the place if you haven't got the lighting right. So something like this, just going on stage beforehand and putting that color passport up next to my face would have made a huge difference in being able to color correct this afterwards. Now it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also whenever we stage anything, keep the furniture light and bright, and the furniture can be blue, but just never the lighting. The furniture can be green, but never the lighting.
Sorry, you were saying the furniture can be green, but not the lighting.
Not the lights.
Yes. Never make the lighting blue or green. That's the most horrible to work with. And if heaven forbid, you should have that as lighting, make sure the lighting never shines on the subject. Because it messes up skin tones and colors and everything.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just a matter of interest next to that. So these little criteria we can add, but it also risk elements. So we can say, well, please be aware that when you go on the stage, here's your little checklist, run through this, make sure you put the passport up, make sure you speak to the video guy, make sure that you tell him slightly undersaturated, rather not too bright, we can brighten it up afterwards and things like that, you know? Just a little checklist to run through with the videographer. Then with the audio guy, what do you do with the audio guy? What do you discuss with them on recording the audio for you? Right? So as a speaker, you would like to have nice, clear, crisp audio.
Yeah.
But the problem is if I wear a lavalier mic or basically a clip-on mic, you guys know this clip-on mics they use in the news, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The problem with that is although it's omnidirectional, so it means it picks up sound from everywhere. You get directed ones as well, but most of them are omnidirectional. The problem is that the moment it is right here, and I turn my face this way, it's louder. If I turn my face this way, it's softer.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I get sound fading in and out. Over here, I've got a shotgun mic. The shotgun mic has a cone, all right? So if I'm moving inside that cone, it's fine. The closer I am to it, obviously, the smaller the smaller, like this, the smaller the cone is here in the middle, all right? The further I'm away, the bigger the cone is, and the more I can handle, all right?
Yeah.
So little things like that. If I have Madonna mics, the best for speakers, because it's always the same distance from your mouth. So if it's a little bit too far away or a little bit too close, doesn't matter. You can play with it afterwards. Rather a little bit too far away than a little bit too close, because if it's too close, you push past certain things. So for instance, and I shouldn't do this, explain it all now, but just one thing. It's called pop filters. So usually when you do voiceovers, you'll put a little filter between you and the microphone. The reason for that being is because you get the sibilant S's, all right? And you get the B's and the P's and the T's, and those explode, and you get like in the mic.
Yeah.
Because it goes beyond what the mic can handle,
Okay.
right?
Interrupting here. I'm going to need to dial off now for my next meeting. I don't know, Talita, do you have another 5 minutes to stay on the call with Extend?
Yeah.
I know that you've got another meeting as well, but just to perhaps wrap up and talk about next steps so that we can, I know that you're not done with the briefing yet, so that we can just decide on the next steps.
Okay. All right. Perfect. 100%.
Sorry, guys. I'm dialing
Thanks,
out. Talita, I'll touch base with you after this, okay?
100%. Thank you.
Cheers, Extend. Chat later.
Laters.
Bye.
So in essence, there's 3 types of videos. There's the short videos, sort of the slightly more markety stuff, which I think will be the majority of stuff that people want to do.
Okay.
There's the show reel, which usually tends to be a once-off, which we'll probably do once or twice a year with the PSA versus here in the Netherlands.
Okay.
And then there's the long ones, which is basically just a recording of something you've done, maybe 1 or 2 camera angles in that, and compiling that into something that works for you.
Okay.
You can make it look nice, basically. So there's a fourth one that's coming, and I'm busy talking to Tom Slichting about this. Tom Slichting has I don't know if Jacqueline sent it through to you. Let me just see. PSA. Here we go. Holland. Let's say that. No. Where's Talita now? I had you here, Judith, exponentially evenly, blah blah. Talita, here we go.
Okay.
I'm going to send you something else as well. Forward to Talita. There we go. All right. You can look at that video, the link. It's Tom Slichting basically talking about his products. So in essence, it's an explainer video in which you can explain what you do, and then you get a choice, and you click on a button either left or right, and that choice then means you go for the next option.
Okay.
All right. And the next option. So what I've sent you there is a diagram in which it shows you mainly binary choices that is put into the system. And that then ends up with a specific web page you go to. So for instance, on your website, you have a little video starting on the first page, and people can watch it and then click on the button, and then it takes them to the next step in the process. So for me, it's a case of, you know what, we actually work with companies to make relationships within organizations better. There are different parts of an organization where relationships work slightly differently. There is the team environment where everybody reports into a single manager, and the team and the manager need to improve their relationships with each other, but also amongst the team themselves. If you're part of a team and you and your manager are interested in learning more, click here, right? If, however, you're in a management team and you have both people working for you and working for someone else, so you're in a middle management layer, okay, please click on this button. If you're a senior leader of a business unit or a business leader, where you have very few people above you that you ever report in, but mainly you have people reporting into you, then click on this button. And each one of those things will take you to a different part of our website. Okay, so we can have a little video explaining stuff and then go to the website. So this sort of like a binary tree structure flow diagram that you create, and within that flow diagram, there's different snippets. Again, if we can deliver the videos and the flow diagram to Tom, he can put it on his platform, and at the moment he's charging about €100 for it. But what we can do is we can look at how much is it if you have 5 branches or 5 decision points? How much is if you have 2 decision points? Okay, so, or we can say how many elements is how much. So we say, Tom, we're only going to have 3 videos. It's either choice A or B. Okay, so the first video is asking the question, and then we can either go to option A or option B, and after that it goes straight through to a website. So it's just that layer. Or is it another layer, or is another layer, and so on. And we can see what the pricing will be. I don't think I'll ever charge more than €250 for the big ones like this one that I sent you now, the picture. But anyway, that's something I'm talking to him about. So in essence, what we're looking at is how do we create modules of videos, and how do we apply that? Is that the short marketing video? Is it the explainer video with the choices? Is it a show reel? Or is it is it basically just a recording of you standing on a stage, for instance, or a vlog? That they're similar. We just cut out the ums and ahs and go for it.
Okay. All right. Got it.
So I think the easiest and the most beneficial to start with would be the small little videos. So basically, question, logo, answer, logo.
Yeah.
Okay, because of those, we can crank out about 4 to 8 per month. I call them the tidbit videos. So they can either be a tidbit of information about something interesting in research, something that's just come up in some research from Harvard Business Review. That also means once we have the video, within Intercom, we can distribute the video, and people can come up with either a blog, or Elena or Alan can come up with that. You know who Elena and Alan are, right? Elena, psychologist I work with, and Alan is my husband.
Okay.
I also work with. All right. So if we have the video and the video is complete, we can send it to anybody in the organization, either yours or ours, and say, okay, write a blog about this, which basically literally means you type over what has been said, or we've already done a web of it, basically a subtitle. So you take the subtitles and you just go, let's make this into full sentences.
Okay.
The copywriting becomes much easier because you're basically just cleaning up something that's already there.
Okay.
It also means that if you want videos like this recorded, you can start from copy and then move to video. So you can also start with a blog article and then how we're going to film it and how do we voice over it.
Okay.
So you can start with a video to blog, or you can start with a blog to video. It doesn't matter which one you start with, but you always end up with text. Is that clear? You look a bit quizzical.
I am feeling a little bit quizzical. Okay. Right, I've got my notes. If there's anything additional that I need to ask. So obviously at this point we're looking at our process document.
Yes, we're looking at whatever I already have as a process, in essence, documenting that. And the thing is, when it comes to documenting a process, have you done process descriptions before?
No.
Okay. Right. What do you call that in English? Not a kite, but it's like a rhombus.
Okay.
So it's something that is a rectangle that's sort of been squashed.
Okay.
That's called a decision point.
Okay.
Right? and every process bit is just a block, a square block. So you can write down any process you want on a piece of paper. Don't even put it you don't even have to do it digitally. Just write it down on a piece of paper. Okay, and write a little block with the name in it, then draw a line to the next step, and then draw a block in it, and then another line to another step and put a block on it. And do it in pencil so you can rub it out and rewrite and whatever else.
I will show you
Easiest way for the first draw.
that sound in Doggy like
Sorry.
hello.
Gotta go as well. Right, so if you don't have paper, for me to capture that digitally is quite fast.
Okay, so it's basically like a flow chart.
Yes, a flowchart is a process board.
Like a mind map type of thing. Okay.
A mind map starts from a central point and then goes out. And a flowchart starts with a specific starting point, and then what happens after that starting point, and how do I get to a desired outcome.
Okay.
So the picture I send you is more of a flowchart, a decision tree.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
I got it.
So something like the thing is just with a decision tree or specifically a process must never abruptly end, and there must always be some place that it leads to.
Okay.
But you can draw whatever you like on paper, and then that's a baseline. We start with that, and we see where it goes from that. So what if you've understood today of creating a short video?
Yeah.
Why don't you just put that into steps?
Yeah. And that's a starting point already. Yeah.
Correct. And if you want, you can then, once you put the steps in, you can give every step a different color that is a different party that's responsible for it.
Okay.
You say, well, okay, green would be a customer, blue would be exponentially me or Melissa or whatever, and green would be Intercom, whatever. Just
okay.
So
that helps a lot.
So crayons and pencils and coloring pencils, you know. As a mum, I'm sure you have loads of those kind of things, you know.
I do.
And you can do it on a blackboard if you have one of those, or a whiteboard, you know, and just play with it and then make a picture of it, and then do it again and take another picture of it. And if you send me a picture on WhatsApp, I can put it in the system for you.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I'll start playing around with this. We've got a couple of things in terms of due dates. Can I work on getting this to you in next week or so? Sure.
So I would say whenever you have a bit of time available, right?
Yeah.
You've got that cupboard behind you, right?
Yes.
You have press stick.
I do.
Or sellotape, one of the two. Just stick like 9 pieces of A4 pages on the wall, and just draw it. And if it doesn't work, just scratch it out and draw the next thing next to it.
Again.
Just like a whiteboard, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
And every time something comes up in your mind, just add it to it. All right. So then you can. This is not something you sit down and come up with. This is something that grows. You know. So you need to come up with some baseline, and then you can start playing with it. You see, oh no, but then I forgot this. Then I need to add this in there. You know, it's a bit early, like earlier.
Yes.
And add something later, and so on. You know.
Okay.
Just start it, and you'll see how it grows.
100%. It sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
Have fun with it.
Thank you. Thanks. I'll keep you posted if there's any questions along the way. I'll get in touch.
Please do. Just WhatsApp me and we'll quickly see if we can fit in a 5-minute call anywhere.
Okay, that sounds great.
Perfect.
Thanks, XT. Chat soon. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye. You too. Ciao.